When it comes to setting expectations, I think there's a number of key things which people need to understand when it comes to them, setting their goals or seeking to achieve a certain physique.
And with that, today I'm very happy to have the expert input of one of the giants in the fitness industry, none other than the man himself, Mike Thurston. And together, Mike and I are going to take a brief look at how to set expectations for your fitness journey or your fitness career, as well as how to arrive at a physique or a fitness goal that's entirely driven by you, and also a goal that's entirely realistic for who you are as a person and for the availability that you have to train. But before we go any further, if there is a remote chance, and I can't understand why it would be, but if there's a chance that you're not already subscribed to Mike's channel, make sure that you do. The link will be in the description below. Right after the video, head on over to his channel, subscribe. It's a wealth of information, free information, that is guaranteed to help you in your fitness career, so be sure to subscribe. Today, I want you to ask yourselves what your expectations are from your training, and really, why do you lift? Why do you train? Is it for an aesthetic outcomes or a specific look that you're trying to achieve? Is it for health and longevity? Are you trying to turn back the hands of time, try to look like you did a few years ago? Is it for increasing athletic performance? Why do you lift? How do you arrive at your physique and fitness goals? Give it some thought. So between Mike and I, today you'll have the perspective from a younger 20-something-year-old expert trainer in Mike, who has a pretty incredible physique, as well as my perspective as an almost 40-year-old trainer who knows exactly what it's like to train hard throughout my 30s, even my 20s, but to this point, despite the changing priorities and challenges of life as I've gotten older. And I'm happy to share that experience with you and how I've arrived at my goals and how they've changed over the course of the past 15 to 20 years. Now, whether you're just starting out in your lifting career and you're in your late teens, or maybe you're in your early or mid 20s, or you have a couple of years of lifting under your belt, or hopefully some of you guys out there listening and watching this video are a little bit closer to my age, so you're in your 30s, maybe you're in your 40s, and you have considerable experience under your belt with training, it's not uncommon to find yourself in a place where you're not really sure what you should expect from your current training, what you should have expected from your training in the past, and what you can expect moving forward. And therefore, based on really not knowing what to expect, it's hard to come up with what a realistic physique or fitness goal might be for you. And for those reasons, I wanted to put this video together to share expert perspectives. So the first piece of advice that I would provide to pretty much anyone that's consistently training is be very clear in your mind about why it is you train, and use whatever those reasons are to motivate you. The second thing would be to really just be honest about what your current condition is. Don't overinflate where you are, and definitely don't sell yourself short. Next, realize that there are many factors that are outside of your control. But then on the flip side, really hold yourself accountable and recognize that a lot is within your control. Don't make excuses. Take charge of whatever factors it is that you can actually influence. Be consistent. Don't rely on a friend or a lifting partner or a trainer or a coach to provide all the motivation that you're going to need in order to be successful. Take control, be accountable, hold yourself accountable, and that consistency that you derive from that will help you to achieve whatever goals you've set out for yourself, providing of course that they're realistic.
I do think age and genetics do play a part in this when it comes to what you can realistically expect. If you're just starting out and you're a teenager, ultimately you have so many years ahead of you training that you just the world's your oyster kind of thing. But just don't expect in the first year of training you're going to be absolutely huge and jacked and ripped. Okay, it doesn't work like that. It's a very gradual process. You just got to learn to enjoy it. If you're older and you've been training for 10 years or more, and you have been killing yourself and everything you've been doing right, then ultimately it's not really much more you can do in order to see further progress. So I would just be content with where you're at and trying to be the best version that you can possibly be.
With close to 20 years of lifting experience under my belt, I've definitely, in looking back, have had my own challenges with setting realistic expectations or having realistic goals for my physique. And the reality is, over the course of time, life has only gotten busier, from university life to grad school to the corporate working world and to now where I am essentially self-employed. Things have only gotten busier. Now, with those changing priorities or shifting priorities of life, I have obviously needed to modify my goals. I've luckily gained much more knowledge, so I'm much smarter about how I lift at this point. I've had to come up with strategies to help myself to be consistent with training and with nutrition. And I've become significantly more patient in terms of what my goals are, what I expect from my training. And if you, like me, are closer, in your 30s, closer to 40, maybe, in your 40s and beyond, some of this will make sense to you. Competing priorities and the need to be even more realistic at this point, and definitely a need to be patient. So, as Mike just said, right now my goal is to, every year or at every step of the journey or my lifting career, to sort of have the best physique I've ever had. And right now I can say that for sure. At almost 40, I have the best physique I've ever had. And I want to be able to continue to say that year after year. So hopefully, you'll set your sights on a realistic goal for yourself, and try to make that true if, your goal is also aesthetically based.
I would also look at what your training availability is going to be like in the next 3 months, 6 months, and so on. If you're the type of person that can only train 3 times per week, or you could only do 3 bouts of exercise or activity, first of all, you're limited with the amount of training volume which you can accumulate on a weekly basis. And second of all, you're also restricted with your calorie output on a weekly basis. Assuming that you're sat at a desk all day, it could be drastically different if you have a very labor-intensive job. So you need to look at training availability. You need to look at what your lifestyle is like outside of the gym. If you're able to train 5-6 times per week and you live a very active lifestyle, you're going to be burning a hell of a lot of calories on a weekly basis, which really can either help improve your rate of progress when it comes to fat loss or allow you to maintain lower levels of body fat.
For a number of years, I've managed to consistently train anywhere between 4 and 6 times per week, and that's pretty much become a large part of who I am. Now, for me, that sort of structure is both sort of natural to me and actually keeps me sane and keeps me happy. Things like following a detailed nutrition plan is very comfortable for me. It takes away so many of the unnecessary decisions on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis, like, what do I do? What am I going to buy when I go grocery shopping? Or what is it that I'm going to have for breakfast or lunch or dinner or snacks on, any given day of the week? Well, that decision fatigue is essentially taken away from me. And, I am so much more comfortable having that sort of, very structured approach to my nutrition as well as to my training.
I would also ask yourself, are you a disciplined type of person? Or are you the type of person that is easily distracted and led astray? Okay, so because when it comes to you setting goals and having these targets, are you going to follow a program, stick to it, be disciplined and push yourself? Or are you going to get led astray? Are you going to miss sessions? Are you going to go on a night out? Are you going to eat out all the time and not stick to your nutrition program? And I think that's one thing you just need to be honest with yourself and be realistic with how disciplined you can be. So if we took me, for example, I am probably the most disciplined person when it comes to getting myself to the gym because it's what I like to do. I do have issues with nutrition sometimes, particularly when it comes to, mostly cutting. I just don't like being hungry, so going through prolonged periods of dropping calories is not enjoyable for me. I do have a harder time. So be real with yourself. There's no point in you setting out a ridiculously strict program which you're just not going to stick to. It's better off you just following a more lenient program and understanding that if you want to get to a certain physique or certain body fat percentage level, in order to do that, there's a price to pay, there's a sacrifice to pay. And if you can't pay that price or make that sacrifice, then ultimately you just won't get there.
And sort of related to what Mike just said, it's really a good thing that I find such comfort and happiness in being so structured and consistent with training and with nutrition, because what you will find, or what you've probably figured out, unfortunately, is that consistency is one of the main ingredients that are contributing to your success, and therefore a lack of that consistency over a considerable period of time, you'll find detracts from your ability to achieve what it is you set out to achieve, and even what is realistic for you. So I guess I'm lucky that I have that personality where I thrive on structure and consistency. And hopefully, if that's not a part of your personality, it's something that you can begin to cultivate and at least sort of put yourself in the position where you're committed to trying that for an extended period of time. And hopefully, you'll achieve the results you expect, and you'll continue to use those results to fuel even more determination to be more consistent until it's, more a part of who you are.
And then finally, I think I touched on this briefly. Do you enjoy the training? Do you enjoy the process? If you're the type of person that moans about going to the gym or just despises the time they spend in the gym, I really don't see them achieving anything great in terms of their body composition or their performance, whether it be weightlifting or whatever it might be. I love training. Okay, it's the one thing I really look forward to. For me, just to zone out, listen to my music, that's like almost my favorite part of the day. So I've been able to achieve the physique I've got because I've been so consistent with it. I love doing it. So again, you just have to be real with yourself when it comes to making those expectations and setting goals. If you're the type of person that loves to train, not only the training, but you actually enjoy the meal prep, you like cooking, and you actually feel like you get a great deal of satisfaction when you are sort of hitting your macros and eating all those meals. So you've got to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to get to realistically where you want to be.
So without making what is turning out to be a relatively long video any longer, hopefully the perspectives from Mike and from me have helped you think about how it is, or what it is you can reasonably expect from your training, and how you can go about approaching setting a realistic physique or a realistic fitness goal for yourself. Now, the closer you are to my age, which, not to beat a dead horse, but almost 40, the more factors unfortunately come into play, and it's really going to be up to you to manage those factors and to really make the best of what it is that you have available, both from a biologic standpoint as well as from a time availability standpoint, and how you can navigate various strategies in order to be as consistent as possible with your nutrition and with your training. But most of all, I would recommend that, if nothing else, be encouraged that you can actually be your best at any age. So don't look at your age and think of it as a limitation. Look at your age and think of it as you have all this experience, you have all this knowledge you didn't have 10, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it might be, and use that knowledge to continue to build your physique or continue to make strides toward whatever goal it is that you might have in mind, and be consistent, be patient, and be encouraged. As always, guys, be sure to let me know whether you found the video beneficial by giving it a thumbs up. And I'll be having a few more videos coming up in the relatively near future featuring Mike and his expert perspective. So be sure to subscribe so that you receive the notifications for those videos once they become available. Now, before we go anywhere, a huge thank you to Mike, both from me as well as on your behalf, guys, for his expert input, expert guidance. I'm sure you found it to be hugely beneficial. And again, be sure to head over to his channel and subscribe. The link is in the description below. Until the next video, guys, aloha from Hawaii.